Have you ever had a dream that felt so real, it followed you into your waking life? A dream that wasn't just a dream, but a message. This is the story of Noor and a door that appeared only when he closed his eyes every single night without fail. As Noor drifted off to sleep, he would find himself in the same place. It wasn't quite a dream, and it wasn't the real world. It was a long, silent hallway, and at the very end stood a single, impassing door. It was always there, waiting. The first time it happened, Noor dismissed it. Just a weird dream, he told himself. But the next night, there it was again. The same hallway, the same silence, and the same strange feeling that the door was waiting specifically for him. He walked towards it, his dream self moving through the still air. The door was made of dark, ancient wood, with no handle and no keyhole. All it had was a small, intricately carved sign that read, "Only the brave may open." Every morning, Noor would wake up with his heart pounding. The image of the door burned into his mind. Questions swirled around him like a fog. Why me? What is behind that door? And why can I only see it when I'm asleep? It was a puzzle he couldn't solve. A mystery that lived in the space between consciousness and slumber. He started to dread going to sleep, but at the same time, a part of him was irresistibly drawn to the enigma of the hallway. One night, he decided to be braver. He walked further down the hallway than ever before, his footsteps echoing in the profound silence. As he got closer, the hallway itself began to change. The walls seemed to pulse, almost like they were breathing. The floor beneath his feet began to hum with a soft, whispering sound, a siren's call urging him, "Come closer, come closer." He could almost feel the grain of the wood under his fingertips. He reached out his hand, his fingers trembling, just inches away from the surface. And then he stopped. A wave of pure, cold fear washed over him, stronger than his curiosity. And just like that, he snapped awake, tangled in his sheets, the sun streaming through his window. The fear felt real, lingering long after the dream had faded. The next day at school was a blur. Noor couldn't focus on his lessons. He kept doodling the door in the margins of his notebook. Then, his teacher, Ms. Zania, posed a question to the class. "Today, I want you to think about this," she said, her voice gentle. "What is something you're afraid to do, even though you know it might be important?" The classroom fell silent, but for Noor, the question was a thunderclap. It echoed the challenge on the door, the fear in his dream. He froze, his pen hovering over the paper. The question felt too personal, too familiar, as if Mizanya had somehow peered into his dreams. He didn't have an answer. Or rather, he had too many. That night, he knew things would be different. As he fell asleep, the hallway materialized around him once more. But this time, something had changed. The hallway felt longer, stretching into infinity. Yet paradoxically, the door seemed much, much closer. It loomed before him, more imposing than ever. Gathering a sliver of courage he didn't know he had, Noor whispered into the silence, his voice barely a breath. "What do you want from me?" For the first time, the door responded. Not with a voice, not with a sound, but with a feeling. A powerful, undeniable sensation that washed over him, filling his mind with a single, clear thought. "Open me and understand." It wasn't a command. It was an invitation. An offer to finally get the answers he'd been searching for. The fear was still there, a cold knot in his stomach, but now it was mixed with something else. Determination. He took a deep breath. the air in the hallway feeling thick and heavy. He walked the final few steps, his gaze locked on the inscription. Only the brave may open. He thought about his teacher's question. He thought about all the times he'd stayed silent when he wanted to speak, all the things he'd avoided because he was afraid to fail. He stepped forward. He reached out and touched the door, but it didn't swing open. It didn't creak or groan. The moment his fingers made contact with the wood, the door dissolved into a million particles of light, vanishing completely. Suddenly, Noor wasn't in a hallway anymore. He was standing in a vast, open space surrounded by swirling, moving scenes like living movies playing all around him. He saw himself as a little boy, afraid to join a game on the playground. He saw himself in class, knowing the answer but too scared to raise his hand. He saw himself hesitating to try out for the school play, terrified of making a mistake. Each scene was a memory of his own fear, a moment of hesitation. Each one was another door he had never dared to open in his own life. And then the door from the hallway reappeared in the center of it all. But this time it was different. It was transparent like glass. Through it, he could see not a mysterious room, but a reflection of himself. And in that instant, Noor finally understood the truth. The door only appeared during sleep, because sleep is the only time we truly stop running. It's when our defenses are down, when we can no longer distract ourselves from the things we're most afraid of. The door wasn't a gateway to another world. It was a mirror. A mirror to his own locked-away potential, his own buried courage. He looked at his reflection in the transparent door. He saw the fear in his own eyes, but he also saw the strength behind it. He reached out his hand one last time. This time, there was no hesitation, no trembling. He wasn't afraid anymore. He placed his palm flat against the surface, and with a gentle push, he opened the door. A brilliant, warm light flooded his senses, and in that exact moment, he woke up. Something was different. The air in his room felt lighter. The morning sun felt warmer. At school that day, when Ms. Anya asked the question, Noor's hand shot up into the air. He spoke. He stumbled over a word, made a small mistake, and then he caught himself and smiled. The fear was just a ghost, a shadow that no longer held any power. The door in the hallway was gone. From that night on, it never appeared in his sleep again. It didn't need to, because Noor had finally learned the secret. Some of the most important doors we face aren't found in dreams or mysterious hallways.